Joining us today is Dr. Abdellatif Darwish to talk more about the European Union's finalization of its higher tariffs on electric vehicles imported from China. Dr. Abdellatif, welcome to the Economic Bulletin. So, China reportedly told car makers to pause investment in European countries. How will these tariffs affect the trade relationship between the European Union and China?
I believe that the Chinese products and commodities always having this competitive and comparative advantage because of the mass production of China, the cheap products, and other aspects or characteristics of the Chinese product. So the European Union and the West in general, and the United States and Europe cannot compete with Chinese products. So it is a way to create a kind of difficulties by imposing different kind of, sometimes even sanctions, or tariffs or taxation or whatever, in order to create difficulties for the Chinese product to compete with the European and not to enhance it. So because I believe that the Western countries have lost the battle with the Chinese economy and Chinese product and industry, so it's the way to create difficulties for China.
From a geopolitical context, how do these tariffs fit into the larger geopolitical context between the European Union, China, and the United States, especially regarding technological competition and green energy?
Yeah, I believe it may create even military and political tension among these countries, between Europe and all the Western countries and China, because this creates problem in the supply chain, creates problem in the international trade, the free trade, where Western have been telling us for so many years that it is fair play. I don't believe that with this kind of measures that there is what we call it fair play. There is no fair play because they lost the competition with China. So I believe this will harm the international trade, will create difficulties in the relation between China and the European and the Western countries. This is very big. I believe that this is against international law, but this is the way that Europeans always see only their own side for this.
Speaking of international trade, how do you define fair versus unfair subsidies in the context of international trade, especially with regard to EVs?
Look, I believe that there must be a kind of laws protection. Sometimes the Western countries are talking about copyright and all this. So I believe that there must be a kind of respect for international law, the international trade, and because I believe that commercial business or trade will enhance the political relation between or among countries. But this creates a kind of bigger tension, bigger problems, and I believe the international economy needs more, let me say, flexibility in the international trade, not sanctions or any other measures that create problems and barriers for the international trade.
Now, looking at the wider picture, what are the potential long-term economic impacts of these tariffs on innovation and technology transfer in the EV sector?
Yes, this will create another problem because I believe we have to help in the movement of knowledge, information, and technology which may enhance the human's life and even at least will help in which I don't see that we have the product availability for everybody, cheaper products, but this creates, I believe, bigger problems for especially the poor countries because they mainly depend on Chinese products, and I believe this will create a bigger problem in the international economies. I believe that the situation that we are living now, it is that Western are trying to defend their position that they have been occupying for the last 100 years, to controlling the international economy, so they cannot understand that competition which they have created and fair play must be there in order for everybody to present his own product, his own ideas, his own technology, and enhance the human life, not creating barriers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdellatif Darwish, for your valuable insights. Thank you.